In this video, we're going to work on topic 5.3. We're on Explain 3, Example 3b. So we're looking at this word problem where the range of the signal from a radio station is bounded by a circle described in the equation x squared plus y squared equals 2025. A stretch of highway near the station is modeled by the equation y minus 15 equals 1/20th x. At which points, if any, does a car on the highway enter and exit the broadcast range of the station? So it doesn't matter that it's a circle. We haven't really talked about what that equation looks like. We maybe did in geometry, but we have two equations. We've got two variables. That means we're doing a systems of equations. I'm going to use the substitution method. In the second one here, I'm going to solve for the y. So we've got y equals 1/20th x plus 15. It's going to be ugly looking. We've got fractions. We've got big numbers. It's okay. So now that I've got that one solved for y, I'm going to take the second equation and write it, except for the y, I'm going to write parentheses instead of the y. And then we're going to substitute this into the parentheses. So 1/20th x plus 15. I know I need to FOIL that because it says squared. I know when I square things, that means I have to write them twice, which gives me a binomial times a binomial, which means FOIL. So let's go ahead and FOIL that out. So 1/20th times 1/20th would be 1/400th x squared. 1/20th times 15 would be 15/20th x. I have that again in the middle, so another 15/20th x. And then 15 times 15 would be 225. I'm just going to scratch work combine in the middle here. That would be 30/20th x, or when I reduce that, 3/2 x. So let's write that back out over here. So we've got 1/400 x squared plus 3/2 x plus 225 equals 2025. I know that the x squared, in front of the x squared, if I'm going to combine like terms, I have to have a common denominator of 400. So I'm going to make that 400 out of 400. So 400 out of 400 plus 1 out of 400 would be 401 out of 400 x squared plus 3/2 x. Then we're going to subtract this to the other side, and that gives me 1,800 equals 0. Now, I could put fractions into the quadratic formula. I'm going to play a little bit of a game here. I am going to choose to multiply everything by my common denominator of 400. So I'm going to multiply every term by 400. So what that's going to do is I'm going to be able to cancel here, and I get 401x squared. 2 goes into 400, 200 times 3x is 600x, and then 400 times 1800 is 72,000. That's a little, even though the numbers are huge, it's a little bit better to put in the quadratic formula because we're going to let Desmos or our calculator do that work for us. So I'm going to go x equals negative b, which is 600, plus or minus the square root of 600 squared, minus 4 times 401 times negative 72,000. Oh, wait a minute. I'm missing a 0. We should have 720,000 all over 2 times my a value of 401. So now we're going to let our Desmos or our calculator do the work for us. So we're going to put that in. And I think it's saying round to the nearest hundredth. We typically round 3 decimal places, so we usually go to the thousandth. Your book might be going to the hundredth. All right, so let's get this into Desmos here. So I'm going to start with some parentheses so I can do a denominator. So I've got negative 600. Let's just do the plus first. So plus SQRT for square root of 600, or I really should do negative 600 squared. Doesn't matter on the sign though, because it would, with squared, it would go away. Minus 4 times the a value of 401 times the c value of 72 with 4 zeros after it. And then close the parentheses and do a divided by. And then something. Oh, it should have a negative in front of the 7,200. There we go. and then divided by 2 times 401. Oops. There is my first answer is 41.632. So 41.632, and it was positive. And then all I'm going to do is simply just change this plus sign here to a minus sign. And I get negative 43.128. Negative 43.128. And then we're going to substitute back in. I'm going to happen to just be able to go right into here. So I'm going to draw some squiggles here. So I've got y equals 1 over 20 times, 41, it's going to do this thing, 41.632 plus 15. So I'm going to figure that one out. And then I also have 1 over 20 times negative 43.128 plus 15. All right, so let's put those into Desmos really quick. So I've got 1 over 20 times the negative, it was negative 41.632, 41.632, I'm not in the right spot. And then we're going to add 15. So there's one of them is 12.918. And then the other one, I could just simply change this to the 43. What happened? Apparently my values came out differently. It's going to be this. Sorry. So it is 17.0816. I feel like I've done something wrong though. 401. All right, sorry, I paused there just for a second just to double check my work. Looks like I was fine. This should be I should have been putting in a positive 41.632. So this is 17.018. So not that number. So 17.082, really. And then let's put this one in the negative 43.128. Negative 43.128 is 12.844. So 12.844. And then finally, we just have to determine that, or kind of write a concluding sentence. So the car will be within the radio station's broadcast area between the negative 43.128, 12.844, and 41.632, 17.082.